And welcome back. This is the Gen Z Manifesto. Kazi yetu hapa ni kuongea itutoke. And today we are asking one question, yeah? Umesoma Finance Bill 2025, and if so, what is your opinion on it? Na naona kuna feedback from you guys at home. Let's read some of them. Aha, Rono Reyes anasema half of youths waiting until it's in parliament to protest. Now, that is why we are here now, okay? This show is for us to talk about it. Mutwiri John anasema, a good move, K24. Thank you so much. We are doing our best. Thank you. Panga Kango anasema, budget should be retrieved. We need to see transparency, period. And I agree with you, Panga. Irungu Muturi anasema, hakuna kitu kama finance bill. Wa Kenya tumeishi kudanganywa ati finance bill. Kila time Kenya chenye tuko nayo ni budgeted corruption. Irungu Muturi ameinject. Clinical Jeff anasema, Kenyans on alert. Tuko keen kama mwaka jana, and I love it for us. Aha, aka Sanaksoksia Wewe, nimejaribu kusoma lakini si radanishi, and I understand you, okay? And that's why we are having shows like this to break down clauses, okay, for you guys at home. Aha, Clinical Jeff 10 anasema, no finance bill, budgeted corruption. I think we read that before. Eric anasema, hatujaiona lakini hatuitaki. Eric, we wacha. Tunakutumia after this show. Albert anasema, this finance bill is flawed. How do you budget for 20,000 new interns but not confirm existing ones? If teachers protest as they've threatened, who will teach our children? Swali nyeti, Albert. Langata anasema, hi, I'm from Kericho. Here finance bill ni scam. How can not touching payslip help us non-payslip people? As our guy said here, it's all a scam, corruption, and all those. I wish our previous unity would come back. Langata nasema ni kama nataka mwende streets tena. And you know, it's funny, last year walisema, ni kama walituita madwanzi in short, wakasema hata tuelewi content ya finance bill. But look at us here, breaking down the finance bill clause by clause. Sioni madwanzi with us in the room. Now, our guy here, I want to talk to you. Sophie there mentioned that they are umeji-employ, but bado they are coming for your payslip. Revenues.
Okay, for a fact, I have gone through the finance bill 2025-2026, and to answer your question, it is ironical that you are telling a person who does not have a payslip that you are coming for, you are not touching his or her payslip. That is a very ironical thing that our government is doing. Another thing is, I have run the finance bill 2025-2026 with trauma. So I was reading I myself, but we in mind. Because of what? I know there's my grandmother at home who does not understand the finance bill, and it will indirectly or directly affect him or her. So, with all those combined, trauma and taking it more serious more than other years, because now we are no longer doomed, and we are looking things through our eyes. And if you look at through my lenses, you can check and see that they have tried to evade 0.0 trillion as tax collection. By this year, they are collecting 4.2 trillion without the tax that they were imposing. Mm-hmm. Where will that money come from?
Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So, Linyeti, our economist over there will tell us, Linda. I want to hear your opinions as well. You've not talked during the whole show. Have you read the finance bill? What has Nini may stand out according to you? You know, tell us your thoughts.
My name is Sabari Billy Akudasa. This country has never been free economically, and they've always been knowing who are targeting us. From the global powers of the World Economic Forum to many other people who just come and lend us money, give us the money. Because in the end, the finance bill is being debated, yet the public is not even contributing that much of an amount to the public service, to the finance bill, because a majority of the funds being used for the finance bill is money that has been borrowed. So we're actually using money in a very scrupulous way, yet it is not even like fully our money. Money that was borrowed up to maybe $1 trillion now, and yet the money is coming in, flowing in through very shallow channels, not getting to the common mwananchi. So we don't have the money at first. They have never since given any money to the creative economy. They didn't even know that it existed until they saw people earning money from it. So wherever they see money, they see us like trees, just coming to pluck money from the trees. And it's not going to happen in that way because the content creators will have to go through a process of creating content on their own. The government has never given us any tools to emancipate ourselves from the financial abyss that we have been in as the youths, as Gen Zs. And yet they want to tax that. Now, we have platforms like TikTok, Instagram, YouTube. They already like tax you. They already like take the 30% off your earnings. Now we have the government of Kenya wants to take 30%. Now, in total, you have been taxed at 60%. A whole whooping 60% taxation on the content that you created on your own. Mm-hmm. So in the end, while we were giving a talk on the pay slips here, I didn't even want to talk on it because which pay slips are you talking about? The government doesn't facilitate people being given the pay slips, first of all. So you do not pay people. Then you want to take from their pockets. And apart from that, we are now being taxed to even use open source technologies. Open source technologies. Things are out here. The universe is now metamorphosizing into something new. The fourth industrial revolution. People are out here. Look at Japan. The youth in Japan emancipated, they are free. Even the youths in Chicago, the youths in, name these countries, China, North Korea, they are free. But look at us. We try to earn in a very creative way. That's why I'm really hurt by this because the creative digital economy is a very independent form of earning revenue because that's how the government is going to categorize us, source of revenue. The carries out here wants to get into your wallet. We don't even have credit cards. You want to get into our M-Pesas. It wants to be everywhere, meaning that they want to control the cash flow. Yet the SRC, the Salaries and Remunerations Committee and Corporation, they know nothing about how the common mwananchi, who is a Gen Z, who is unemployed, they know nothing about how you earn money. I can go on with this talk,
Thank you so much.
I'll have to leave them with this.
Okay.
For everything, it's actually a law in quantum physics. The law of cause and effect. It states that for every cause, there's an equal and proportional effect. And for every effect, there's an equal and proportional cause. The J25 protests, the mandamanos, they were just but an effect. The cause we all know. It's happening again. The question is, what effects will this so-called finance bill being propagated and just bashed on us, what effect will it have on the country?
Thank you so much. All right, now I want to get to this guy over here before we go to you, Linda. He said that Kenya has never been economically free. We keep on borrowing. Do you think kuna place itaifika that we are actually free, that we are not borrowing? Ama, is this a utopia?
Thank you very much. My name is Wesley Masongo, Emeritus President, Riara University. And the simple answer to that is, it depends. Mm-hmm. It's an if. If we behave well, if we have better leaders, if we make the right choices, we're going to end up in the right place. But if we do the contrary, then the contrary will also happen. But today here, I have come with 3 very clear messages to the...
Quick, yeah?
Yeah, 3 messages to the government. Message number 1, when I read the finance bill, there is an amendment that seeks to amend Section 59A of the tax procedures, especially by the deletion of Part 1B, which prohibits the commissioner of KRA from integrating KRA systems with company systems if that integration will actually interfere or rather expose company secrets and personal information of clients that is held by the company in trust. Now that amendment has to go. Iko simple to hivyo. Because we know very much that the government will utilize any opportunity that it has to access personal information in individuals to use it in the wrong way. So Gava, you drop that thing. Part 60 of that tax procedures, inakubali Gava, kama you think that someone is cheating in his taxes, then you can have a warrant that can allow you to scrutinize that. So the removal, now subjecting and exposing everyone just because you think a few characters are cheating in taxes, then it's not justifiable. na wenye serikali wanajua ni nani wana cheat in taxes. Some of them are their friends. Point number 2, you cannot increase the tax base by taxing people more. The best way to increase the tax base is by making sure that the majority of the youth of who are employed have, making sure that the who are employed have creative and digital economies. In 2023 we had a very smart plan yenye ilikuja hapa hivi kusave youth wa Kenya. Walikuwa wanaitwa the World Foundation. Every month walikuwa wanapatia youth 6 coins. At that time coin moja ilikuwa worth 1000. Right now the coin is about 150 shillings. Quick mathematics tells you if we use that projection of $1.50 per coin time
Add another room here, they'll tell you, oh, next year. So basically the government is playing us. Secondly, we want to ask ourselves, we have got resources in this country. Okay, the other day we had information that there are over 974 types of minerals in this country. So I had information that there are over 974 types of minerals in this country. Savo right now.
I'm going straight to you.
Most of the things that they've raised are majorly on the finance bill, and some of the areas that they wish could be changed. You have interacted with the finance bill 2025-2026. Some of the notable areas, especially most that touch on the youth. They've talked about digital tax and many others.
One of my areas that I have seen and I think is important to highlight is the issue of input costs. Remember I mentioned that the economy has been subdued for a long time now, and the issue mainly is the input costs. So when I look at the finance bill, I see what some of the Gen Zs have mentioned in terms of removing from zero rated to VAT exempt, which means now the costs will be passed to the consumer. So one of the issues or inputs that I've seen, we've seen inputs on, for example, the items that are used to produce wind and solar energy, which then translates to electricity prices. So electricity prices have been a challenge for us as a country because it's an input cost, and it translates or it trickles down to very many other sectors of the economy.
And also sugar, transportation
Exactly.
for sugar cane, which will later translate to
sugar
prices, which is a basic commodity.
Exactly. So that is a challenging issue, and I'd really love for the government to actually focus and look at the input bit of our economy, because input costs largely constrain the margins of businesses, and again it trickles down to very many other things, including the profits that they make, whether they are able to repay their loans back, whether they are able to borrow, which trickles down to their credit worthiness. So it translates to very many things, and bit on input costs.
And where the government says there are no new taxes in this 2025-2026 finance bill, what does that mean?
It just means that the quantity or the amount of taxes that we had seen in the previous finance bill are not in this one, but
inamaanisha bado tutafinywa ama tutafinywa? Hiyo tu ndo tunataka tujue at this point.
If it has to raise 25 to 35 billion, then this money has to come from somewhere. So hata kama hatufinywi sana, kidogo, the kufinywa is still there. But basically what I'd say with the finance bill 2025 is that I think it would have been worse if the younger generation did not go to the streets last year, because again, last year's finance bill was very heavy on us as the Kenyan citizens. So I believe maybe if there was no such uproar by the public, probably the finance bill 2025 would have been more squeezing to the Kenyans, and
it could be worse.
Yeah, it could be worse. I do not want to say whether it's a good or a bad thing, but
it's definitely a bad thing.
Well,
let me get this from you, Sophie. What were your main concerns, and what would be your recommendations so far? Because I know you've interacted with the finance bill. What would you recommend?
First of all, my main concerns are the government is purporting to reduce expenditure and not tax the common mwananchi more. But if you look at it critically in terms of where they have reduced the expenditure, they have reduced expenditure on critical, essential services to the common mwananchi. The education sector has lost approximately 1.3 billion shillings for school feeding, for CBC infrastructure. You find the health sector, maternal health has suffered. There's no more Linda Mama. So they are purporting to reduce expenditure, but they are significantly working day and night to disadvantage the common mwananchi. Yet they are putting themselves in a position where they are more advantaged. Why? They're putting more money for innovations. They're putting more money in the consolidated fund. And if you think about it, last year, this government enabled themselves to access the consolidated fund without approval from Parliament. So the biggest people who have failed us today, and I will say this over and over again, it's our members of Parliament. They have failed to represent us and our interests. They have represented themselves. My recommendation would be, number one, as they're putting the finance bill, let them tell us the targets for each single amendment. You're amending zero rated to tax exempt. What are you looking to raise from that amendment? You're bringing in digital tax of 16% on digital services. What are you looking to raise? So that when the next finance bill comes, we have something to look back to. You amended this, you raised this. You amended this, you raised this. Exactly. And on top of my recommendations would be to ask the citizens of Kenya, hata kama hauna payslip, they're still coming for your self-employment. So as Kenyans, we wake up and we commit what is called class suicide. The people who are middle income earners and high income earners, don't think you're more special. Come and help these people at the bottom. Say no to these things. Let us stand up and say no, most especially to this finance bill. And my clarion call will be to okoe payslip. Whether you have a payslip or not, ujue uko na payslip, uko na hustle, hiyo ndio payslip yako. So let's work kuokoa hiyo payslip. And my last recommendation would be for us to find a way of disciplining our members of Parliament when they fail to represent us.
Well, thank you so much, Sophie. As you give your final thoughts as well, you can mention some of the sustainable ways in which the government can raise tax briefly, just in 30 seconds.
So I think to increase our taxes, we need to increase to broaden our tax base. And by that we mean, as one of the Gen Z said, increase the job opportunities. Number two, ensure that the businesses we have, the existing businesses are thriving, because the more they make profit, the more you collect in terms of, for example, corporate tax. My final thoughts would be, let's participate in the whole budget making process, from the budget review and outlook paper to the budget policy statement to the appropriations bill, because the appropriations bill is actually more important. And it's what I think more of the Gen Zs are speaking about, because any allocations, the renovation amounts, those ones are in the appropriations bill, not in the finance bill.
Exactly.
So let's work on participating more on that. And we have the dates for the public participation. For the written comments for the finance bill, it's up to 27th of this month. For the budget estimates, it's up to 20th. So forward your comments.
Yes, thank you so much. That has been Stella Swake, who's the Senior Associate Researcher at Standard Investment Bank. Thank you so much for joining us here today.
Thank you.
And we also had Sophie Mugure. We are truly honored to have you here as well today. Thank you so much. Sophie Mugure is a youth leader. And well, that's all that we had for you here at Gen Z Manifesto Show. You've heard. You start from the appropriations bill right before you get into the finance bill. At least leo tumechanuka, right? Well, my name is Linda Koskei. See you again next Tuesday. To you, Miss K.
Thank you so much, Linda. Now, as we close the show tonight, here are my 2 cents. Last year, 2024, really stripped off the ngozi from the condor and showed us the real faces of our leaders. They called us dimwits for apparently not understanding the contents of the then problematic finance bill. But the young people quickly proved them wrong and even added some spice by translating the clauses to different languages for everyone to be aware of the almost disaster Not very dimwit behavior, right? And now, the proposed Finance Bill 2025-2026 is out, and the Gen Zs are at it again, dissecting each clause to make sure no monkey business goes on. So far, so good.